Good morning, guys. Monday morning, we're back at it. First thing Monday morning, and had a great weekend, and we're ready to spend the next 5 days, 6 days, whatever it takes to knock this thing out and get it rolling. I'm sure you guys are probably just as excited as I am to hear that motor crack off, put it in gear, and see what it looks like outside in the sun. But we're getting close. This week our goal is to get it rolling by the end of the week. We got quite a bit of work to do before that, but I just, I can't get over how good this thing is looking already. I love the whole stance of the entire truck, the way the air ride kit turned out, with this suspension, the wheelbase. Yeah, pretty dang excited about it. Our big goal over the next 2 days is to get everything done, hard parts on the frame, and ready for sandblast. So we need to be sandblasting by tomorrow, no later than Wednesday. That's our goal. We do have a little more work to do on this back end. We got to add some cross members. We need to get our fifth wheel plate bolted in, and then we got a few more things to do up front as well. But then we'll be ready for sandblast, a little bit of body work on the frame, and then be ready for paint. Once we get paint on that frame, man, we can start going to town on putting things together. So yeah, getting pretty exciting. Love the way it's looking right now. The whole stance of the truck is exactly what we were looking for. Pretty dang happy with all that, and I can't wait to see it with more new parts. Get the tanks on it, get the stacks on it, lights, visor. Every time you add something else, it's just makes it look that much better. And anyway, getting pretty excited, so we'll see what we can get done today. All right, guys, we have got all the aluminum wheels off of that truck, the fuel tanks off. We spent a little time acid washing all of them, getting them all ready to send out to polish. We got a guy, Fernando, over at China Truck, over at Little Sisters in Eloy, does a phenomenal job. Anyway, we're gonna go get all these sent out to him. He's gonna polish, sand them down, make them look beautiful before we put them on the truck. A lot easier for him to sand on them and work on them that way. But yeah, so getting that all ready to go. That way, once we are done with paint, it's gonna look perfect. All right, in here, been working over the hubs, trying to make sure we've got the right bearing set up, wheel seals, brakes, drums, all of that. So one of the things that we are doing with this truck makes it a little bit more time consuming, a little easier. A lot of people will say it's the dumbest thing in the world, but so this new suspension was hub piloted, all newer suspension, hub piloted. If we were gonna keep it hub piloted, we'd have to go out and buy 10 hub piloted wheels, which we don't have. And then only because I'm anal and I like things to all match, I would have to go buy the hub piloted hubs for the steer axle, so it was all hub piloted. or I can use the old Bud wheels that we have, the old hubs that are a Bud setup that we already have, and convert it all back to Bud. The whole truck runs Buds. I personally think the holes, the small holes that are in Bud wheels, especially on an older truck, look perfect. I love the look of them versus your, the bigger holes that the Alcoas run nowadays. But so a little more work, but that's what we're doing. I've broke this suspension down. I broke off one corner. It had preset bearings in it. So the hubs are gonna work. I just had to order some new bearings, which going all back together, we're gonna do all new bearings, new races, new wheel seals, new brakes, new drums. We're gonna go all new with it anyway. So it wasn't that big a deal. At the end, a little more work. I guess we could have just run it with the hub piloted, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be all new parts. Bud wheels matches the whole era of the truck anyways, and that's the way we wanted to go. And at the end of the day, saves us money by not having to buy some more hubs for the front and wheels. So that's what I did. Broke it all down. Got the bearings coming tomorrow. We will break those down, and it'll be a full day of swinging hammers, pounding out races, converting the bearings over. For the most part, the outer bearing is the same. I'll go over that when I break one down, but the inner bearing, the spindle size is bigger, and so the part that goes in the hub, the race, it's the same, but the spindle size is bigger. So a little different bearing number there. But that's why I broke it all down today, to make sure I got all the right parts. And this is the corner I did. It's all halfway back together. I just threw that wheel up there, but I know what brake drum, what shoes, what bearings, wheel seals, everything. So we will get all that stuff coming. We'll get it tomorrow, start tearing it apart, and yeah, that'll be an afternoon of just changing bearings and races. So not too bad. I'm fixing to tear the front end down and make sure I order all the right bearings. We'll do all new bearings, inner and outer, new caps. I ordered all new lug nuts. Yeah, so we'll do all that as well. I'm fixing to break this one down, make sure we get all the right stuff tomorrow so we can just do the whole thing. So, been working on that. Andrew over here is killing it on the motor setup. He's got all the fuel lines run, installed 2 fuel filters. Originally it was only set up with 1, but got it pretty well all plumbed, all new hoses and lines. He was working on the power steering lines now, trying to figure out the cleanest way to route that. But all in all, looking killer, getting pretty dang close to being able to start. So other than that, just a little bit at a time, knock it out. All right, good evening, guys. We're just getting finished up here in the shop. Today was that eclipse, solar eclipse that everybody was driving all the way across America to look at. That dang eclipse, I'm convinced, brought nothing but bad luck over here. We got started on the truck this morning, got pretty good game plan put together, got to going on it, and not only are we trying to build this truck on a short deadline, but we also run a fleet of 18 trucks of our own, and sometimes those things take priority. We had nothing major, just some maintenance stuff come through that needed to get taken care of. So a lot of the fleet trucks took up some of our time today, and which is all good. It's the business, and those are the things that make money today. So that's what we did. We spent a lot of time doing that. Every free chance we got, this is where we were. And just give you a quick update and rundown of what it's looking like. Andrew has gotten most of the motor all plumbed, all new fuel lines, new power steering lines, got the air lines plumbed. The only thing we're lacking some coolant lines, hook up the air, and she's real close to making smoke. So way cool there, pretty excited, pretty happy with all that. We did start combing through a lot of the wiring that was here. I don't think the wiring's gonna be that bad. We'll start tackling more of that tomorrow. But kind of the beauty of an old mechanical motor, there's really not that many wires that you really need to make this thing run. There's a few manual gauges and stuff like that, but other than that, you know, you got your solenoids for the fuel pump, but really not a lot of wiring to the motor itself. So we'll get all that sorted out tomorrow and see how that looks. But other than that, we worked on the back end some more, worked on cross members, shock mounts. We're working on getting the fifth wheel plate all cleaned up and getting that cylinder rebuilt so it'll slide, and then we will get it set on the frame. We talked about the bearings and switching over to Bud wheels, hub piloted, you know, but I think that's going to be a good deal. I got that one all tore down so that we could get all the parts run, and I also tore down the steer axle so I could make sure I had the right drums, brakes, bearings. We'll do all new. One of the things I wanted to point out, when I took this thing apart, I just couldn't believe the kind of shape that this front spindle was in. The bearings were pretty tight. I mean, the oil's been in there a long time. We're gonna go ahead and change bearings, races, wheel seal, all of it in this hub. But the spindle shows very little wear at all, and it's hard to tell, but not hardly any wear where your bearing rides or your inner bearing. The lines in the spindle look good. Where your wheel seal sits looks good. The threads are all beautiful. I mean, I don't know, pretty neat when you get one tore apart and you see the wear parts that are supposed to have a lot of wear from 1981, you know, and it actually looks that good. It's pretty dang impressive. I would like to, and I probably will in the next day or two, call Marvin, the guy I bought the truck from, and get a little more history on it. The odometer on this truck reads like 380,000 miles. You know, right away when you see something like that on a truck this old, it's like, there's no way that those are original miles, you know. And then as you get to building it, you know, the frame was so clean, and you look at some of these wear parts like that, it starts making you wonder if that is actual mileage or not. So anyway, I'll probably be giving Marvin a call, but pretty impressive with the way a lot of the wear parts have looked on this truck during this build. As we take it apart, and we're going back together with all new parts just so that it'll last, but it's impressive the kind of shape the truck was in overall. Interior, frame, I mean, it's been sitting around a long time, but man, pretty neat the kind of shape it's in. So we got all that tore down. We'll get all those parts, all of our bearings, races, wheel seals. We'll get all that stuff coming. We should have all that tomorrow, and we will be working on getting that motor started, finishing up the little bit of cross member and fifth wheel work we got. And then after we get all the hubs and all that rebuilt, we'll be ready for sandblast. So getting close, getting exciting. There's still a lot of tedious work. It's the important work, the stuff that you don't see, not big things that you notice on a camera, but we'll get all that stuff done, and then you know, once we hit sandblast and paint, man, this thing will start coming together really fast. So anyway, a couple more brutal days of hard labor to get it really into shape, but yeah, appreciate it. Have a good night.